Hey everyone on the podcast universe, it's the Well Nothing's Happening podcast, and it's your host Dave. So currently you might be hearing some background noise, but that's really because we're kind of doing this in a park, decided to relocate and change up things that are new. And just as promised, I have brought over my lovely guest. I'm gonna let her introduce herself, but her name is Aalia. So Aalia, let people know who you're about, or what you are about. There you go.
Hi, podcast universe. My name is Aalia, as Dave has already said.
Not Aalia.
Not Aalia, as some may like to say. It is Aalia. I am a fourth year medical student at the same school that Dave is at. We are both going into the same field of family medicine. So those are my defining traits at the moment that are kind of ruling my life, as I think Dave has talked about how like residency application time is here and interview season is upon us. So those are like my primary things going on right now, I guess.
Yeah, and also please excuse the trucks and the crickets. And again, like we said, we're just doing this in a park just because we wanted to. It's pretty nice weather. There's a good chance, FYI, we may end up breaking quickly because this park's kind of sketch.
And the sun is about to set kind of soon, so we will just play it by ear. We value our own safety and our listeners' safety as well, so bear with us.
Okay. But anyways, so just as promised, Aalia, so really, again, the podcast is truly about nothing. kind of how I introduced towards this listeners out there.
Yes, currently nothing is happening.
Yeah, nothing's happening, and really the goal is just kind of just talking about whatever. So really stream of consciousness, like we don't even have a script or anything. We're just kind of going by what we really want to talk about.
I don't know if other podcasts like are scripted or not. I don't know enough. Like I've listened to podcasts, but I don't know enough if they like just kind of like bullet point out a general plot
that's
point
true
thing, or if they just do stream of consciousness as well, because I feel like I guess it depends on what kind. For this one, I don't really think scripting nothing makes sense. So
yeah, pretty much. Like, I don't know, I think you briefly mentioned how you wanted to talk about Squid Game, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. I was approached by Dave when I was first told about the podcast, and he told me that I could be a guest, and of course I was clamoring at the idea of guest starring on a world famous podcast like this about nothing.
Shout out to the 2 listeners out there.
Yeah, the 2 listeners. Shout out. If you comment below about what your favorite part of the podcast is, you will be entered into a drawing for nothing. The prize is nothing.
Yes, exactly. It's bragging points.
Exactly. It's just in line with our with the philosophy here. But yeah, I was told to come up with an idea, and the first thing I could think of, something that was kind of like topical that maybe other people could also relate to, was Squid Game, because that's a show that's kind of like swept the nation in the past month or so, I would say. He is chewing some boba, so it's going to take him a second. We have boba, by the way.
Yes, we do. We both, so we went to this Vietnamese restaurant. It's called, well, actually, no, never mind, because, you know...
Just know it's a Vietnamese restaurant.
Yes. Yeah, so we
classified information.
Yeah, there you go. And we both ordered, obviously, like, pho, and we ultimately ordered some avocado boba. It's pretty good. It's very, very sweet.
It is.
But anyways, I forget what we were talking about. Yes. So I did approach you with the idea of Squid Game, and it's a really popular thing. And I don't know about you out there, but I've watched it twice already. And that's not something that I normally do with most shows.
I didn't know you'd watched it twice.
Yeah, I did watch it twice.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was interesting because, you know, it's like the first time you watch it, it's like, oh man, what's happening? Oh, this is new. Like, oh, who are these people? No, it's that guy. And then, you know, it's like, oh, I really like that character. They died.
Yeah.
And then watching it the second time, you saw the Easter eggs.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting for sure.
Yeah. My youngest sister is wanting to watch it because everyone in her school has, even though they're all in middle school, which is concerning to me.
Okay.
So whenever I've been like visiting home, I've been watching bits and pieces of it with her, just like supervise when like bad things happen. Like it's I'm pretty sure it's like rated R, like mature audiences. Like there's a lot that goes on. So I'm just supervising because that's what good older siblings do, I suppose. But it is interesting to like see the little like, oh, like in this scene that was there, and like I just completely was oblivious to it.
Yeah. But I guess overall, Aalia, why do you think Squid Game has been so popular?
So I guess firstly, if you haven't watched Squid Game, we will probably be spoiling major plot points. So I would highly recommend watching the show before you listen to this.
Yeah.
But I think more than anything, I'm just really excited because I started getting into like K-pop and K-dramas and stuff like that around like 2017 or so, and it's just really, really cool to see how this is like the first K-drama to like really get into mainstream Western media like this. It's really really fascinating. And I think it's also interesting how like basically the whole show is like a commentary on capitalism, right? Mm-hmm. And it is like taken off in like one of the biggest like capitalist markets in the world. So I don't know, I think it's just a very compelling show. It's like very, also by the way, there's some ants around, just for not for the listeners, but for Dave, just as a heads up.
You.
I didn't want him to get bit or anything.
Okay.
Yeah, they're kind of everywhere. We are at a picnic table for the listener, so I guess you know. But yeah, I just think it's a really well-written show. It's really interesting. I think the characters are very compelling. They all, I feel like you end up rooting for most of them, even though they're not all perfect. Like they make them very clearly flawed in different ways, but you still empathize with them to some degree, I feel like. So it's just a good show.
It's true. Yeah, I think for me, I really enjoyed kind of the concept of how they're all essentially just playing kid games, and it's just to earn money, and they really don't know what they signed up for, but it is all in the contract, because I think ultimately the contract was, you continue playing, and if you don't play, then you'll be eliminated. And
you have to play all the games.
Yeah.
You can't stop playing at any point or you're eliminated. And I don't know. I don't remember what the last one was, but it was like
if majority, something about majority.
The majority says they want to quit, then you can quit.
Yeah, but it was kind of interesting though, because that during that second episode, they ultimately did all agree to quit. Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of interesting because I think the retention rate at the end of the game or whatever, or at the start of the second part of the game,
it was 93%.
Yeah.
I only know because I was watching that episode with my sister.
Okay, gotcha.
Yesterday.
I was like, oh man, you're a true fan.
Yeah, I know all the real details, but which 93% is kind of an insane rate you can think about. If you literally just saw like half the people you were with get killed in that first game of red light, green light, and you go back to your everyday life for like 3-4 days, and you are like, nah, like I want to go back, having witnessed all of that. Like, it's pretty striking.
That's fair. All right. But that's kind of very, very interesting for sure. Who would you say your favorite character is? I know mine.
I feel like I would say Ali, just because I think, firstly, I've never seen like a South Asian character like in a K-drama like that to begin with. It was just like very, like, I still remember the first episode because I was visiting a friend in DC right after taking step 2, and we ended up watching it together because she's gotten into K-dramas recently too, and me and her are both Pakistani American, and we were watching, and it's like revealed in the show that he's Pakistani American, and we're like, what? Like, what? Or not Pakistani American, but like, Pakistani. Mm-hmm. And that was just kind of like surreal to see. But also I think his character just like shows like people can be like good-natured, well-intentioned, and get taken advantage of, especially in like a capitalist society. I mean, that's the marble game, right? Like, we do not like Sangwoo. We do not like Sangwoo in this house. Wow, I don't know if he's your favorite, but
no,
I do not like him.
No, I wouldn't say that that's my favorite character. But I mean, I don't know. At the same time, I guess you kind of get it with it was kind of like a do or die situation. And
I get it.
And and he kind of paints the picture of like how it's like, when people are down to their lowest point, they're either going to do nothing or they're going to do something. And he kind of embodies that, doing something, even going to like extreme ends.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So it's kind of like one of those situations if you kind of think about it.
I mean, I get that. I just wish he had been man enough to like I guess, like, betray him to his face. Like, you know, like,
Oh,
leading him
yeah.
on and be
That's
like, oh, like, we're gonna
fair.
figure a way out of this together, like, you know, this and that, and then screwing him over. I was like,
Yeah,
you know.
that's fair. But also, you know, if you think about it in that context, don't forget there's people out there who break up with people over text and stuff too. And so it's kind of like that, but to the extreme end, you know. It's
quite
like
the extreme, I would argue,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
I guess I follow your point.
Yeah. I think my favorite character would probably be like Saebyuk, I think. Saebyuk?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I'm not Korean, so I cannot pronounce these names.
I'm also not Korean.
But you're really into the Korean
I just really
culture,
like
so
all that stuff.
yeah. So, but yeah, I think it's Saebyuk.
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 Yes.
Because really, I don't know. I just felt like that last episode, whenever her and that other
Yeah.
girl, it was very emotional.
The marble game one?
Yeah. Because you know, at the end, they were kind of like, all right, let's make a deal, and we'll just kind of share whatever.
Yeah.
And they were kind of just sharing their hearts out, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it was like painting a true picture of like who they were, why they're there. And, you know, just kind of like one of those things where it's like, even that girl, I can't remember the name of that girl. Oh, it's getting noisy out here.
It is getting noisy.
Anyways, but I think it's just like one of those, because they did share their hearts out, and it was just like one of those, the girl who ended up giving her life away to, you could say the name again.
Saebyuk.
Yes. Anyways, giving her life away to her. Basically, it was just kind of like one of those things where it's like, wow, you know, that's just kind of the strong type of character she kind of developed.
Yeah.
And because she was willing to share kind of that story of how she's really doing this to get her mother out of the north.
Yeah.
And trying to get her brother, you know, all together, just one big happy family. She didn't have any true, like, oh, I'm gonna buy a car and a mansion. It was like one of those,
There's like very noble
yeah.
reasons for her to be in there.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I really kind of appreciated that. And
Yeah.
there's just like one of those, like, oh yeah, that's definitely pretty cool.
Yeah. She definitely, I think,
Yeah.
was my number two. It's like her and Aalia are like tied.
Yeah.
It like, for different reasons. I feel like there's a lot of people you root for as the show goes on. Because like the one who like, I feel so bad that I don't remember her name, but she was really a minor character. She was only there for a couple episodes. But the one who like sacrificed herself for Saebyuk, like, she also like, you know, I just felt so bad in that whole situation. Because it's like, I don't know, that episode, like, I think anyone who watched, but like that episode like ruined me. Like after I just had to like sit down and be like, oh my god. Like,
yeah, that was tough. That was the marble game was a tough one.
Yeah.
And I'd say the other tough one was when Saebyuk I said it correctly.
You did.
Anyways, basically ended up getting stabbed in the abdomen.
Oh my god.
Was...
Oh my god. No, slash in the throat, right? Because like she had the glass shard.
Yes, slash.
And then freaking Sung-woo.
Yeah, I know, your favorite character.
My favorite. I mean, like, I feel like to some extent you can empathize with all of them and you feel bad for all of them, but you still like, I don't know, I just thought he was so weaselly.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. It's yeah.
I mean, you can see his intentions and his nature like from like the honeycomb game, right? Like you can see him have the whole flashback and everything, and he still doesn't say anything to anyone else when they're choosing like really hard shapes and stuff like that. So
that's fair. Yeah. But aside from that, so did you catch or see any of the Easter eggs on the episodes that you've rewatched?
I know that when they have the little fight thing, no, not the fight thing, sorry, wrong. When they do the red light, green light one, when it's showing her like the girl like scanning the crowd, everyone is being like scanned except for the old man. That was one of them.
Yeah.
And then the other one was when the police officer is going through like the Squid Game like chronicles or whatever, where they have like all the like documentation of like years past and everything. When he's looking for the current year's game, 001, like player 001 is not listed on there because that was the old man.
Yeah.
So those are some interesting ones.
Yeah.
That I noticed.
Let's see. I'm trying to think. I think the ones that I've kind of picked up on, so in the tug of war one where 001, the old man,
I heard about this.
Yeah, there was no locks on the thing.
He wasn't shackled to the rope.
Yep, so that was kind of interesting. Let's see, some other ones. I think if you saw in the marble game, the old man, his house, it had the logo of, I guess, the, what is it, the triangle, the square, and the circle.
The Squid Game logo or whatever.
And he was like, oh yeah, this is my house. So it was like, oh, you know, it could be the one.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And then there's like some other things too. Like, I think the old man mentioned how at the very beginning he was like, yeah, I'm not going to die here. And I mean, you know, he like already had insight, but other people thought he was just demented. And, you know, he was kind of playing that demented role. So it was kind of interesting, yeah. I'm trying to think. And also, I think there was a lot of foreshadowing as well. So, like, you know how Song-woo, how, you know, your favorite character, he ended up committing suicide.
Yeah.
And remember, he tried committing suicide before entering the games again.
Oh, this is a good point.
Yeah, and then I think the other foreshadowing thing is Se-byuk. She basically ended up getting stabbed in the neck when, remember the guy who was trying to sneak her mother across the border? He ended up she almost stabbed him. Yeah, and so it was like payback.
So it's like all of them, like, it foreshadowed the way that they would die.
Yeah. So it was kind of interesting for sure. Yeah.
I wonder if like Ali had something like for the marbles or.
Oh! I think it's because he stole the money from the guy at the very beginning.
Oh, and then he stole the marbles.
Yeah, he stole the marbles. Yeah, so I think that's
so interesting.
So there's like a lot of layers for sure.
It's like very like mirrored. Kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm gonna do this to you, but really,
and
that's
how
they died.
It's actually gonna happen to me. That's so cool.
Yeah, so it's definitely very interesting for sure.
One thing, it's not, I don't think, like confirmed foreshadowing or anything, but something that, because the ending of the show frustrated me so much when he like gets off the plane, even though, you know, they're warning him and this and that, and it makes it sound like he's like gonna forsake all the money and do something like re-enter the game, or like who knows what he's gonna do. I think they're leaving it open for season 2, but I remember I saw like someone's comment saying like, if you remember like in the very first episode with like the game of like Takji, where they were like the slap game, right? When he finally like beats Gongyu, I forget, I don't think he has a character name, but like that's the actor's name. When he finally beats him, like his first response was to like rear back to like slap him across the face, and he has to like grab his arm and like crumple the like money and be like, you won, that's what you were doing this for. And I just saw someone say like, you know, for Gi-hun, like it was never about the money, it was about like getting even. So like, which would explain like why he didn't touch any of the money. Like I think like guilt alone like would have stopped him, but instead of like trying to move on, he like was just like rooted where he was, and he's like, no, I want to like make things right, which is kind of like how he handled that game at the beginning. I don't know.
That's fair, yeah. But yeah, I guess definitely Squid Game. It's definitely a show to watch if you haven't, and I don't know why you've listened to this if you've already.
Yeah, I mean, you had the whole. I mean, to be fair, I think like one of the big pushes for me to like get on it and start watching it was because like I saw memes of it everywhere, and I was like, if I don't watch this now, it's gonna get spoiled for me. That's true, yeah. If you're one of those people who like have the show like horribly spoiled for you already, I'm sorry. That's probably the only reason you kept watching if you haven't seen it. But I think even despite all that, it is worth a watch because it is really well written. Yeah,
there's a lot of complexity along there. It's one of those that I don't know. It's definitely very interesting just because being I guess in the Western culture, it's not a typical show that you would think would be very popular, but somehow it is.
I remember I saw a meme because last like 2019-2020 is when Parasite won the like Oscar, right, like the Academy Award for Best Film, and that was also a Korean film about very similar kind of like themes of like capitalism and like huge like inequality, like wealth gaps in Korean society, and that also like went crazy here, like took off, like had showings. I remember I watched it like in a theater here in town, which I never would have expected to see, you know, like a Korean film like here, like where we are. And I saw like a meme somewhere, and it was like using from like Phineas and Ferb, like Dr. Doofenshmirtz, his like there's an audio of him being like, oh, like if you told me that something was gonna happen, like it was like if I have a nickel for every time that XYZ thing happens, I would have 2 nickels, which is not a lot, but it's more than what you'd expect. And that's how I feel about this, like 2 Korean pieces of media that have very heavy like anti-capitalist, like anti-huge wealth gap themes taking off like crazy in American society. It only has happened twice, but it's very weird that it's happened twice. You know what I mean?
It's fair, yeah. But very, very good points, Aalia.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. So I know that Squid Game is definitely a very popular topic nowadays, and I know another big major topic thing is Halloween.
Yes.
Yes. And I know that Halloween's coming up, and I know that, of course, Squid Game's really popular. And fun fact, I actually think I might be trying to get like a mask or something for the Halloween get together.
Be one of the people?
I think I might try to be front man actually.
Oh, that would be a good
or a square, because
one of them like up at the top.
Yeah,
right?
up at the top. I can't be a circle.
Yeah,
can't be a circle.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's also interesting how like, speaking of that, like I think I saw someone point out like the more angular the shapes get, the more. Sorry, that was a car going by. You probably heard. But the more angular the shape gets, the more like elevated the status is. Like a circle's like at the very bottom, but then there's triangle, then there's square, and then there's front man who has like the super angular like mask. So that was just something interesting I saw.
Yeah.
So you'd be very like head honcho if you had the front man one.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Other than that, that's what I think I'm gonna be doing for Halloween.
Yeah. I think
I'll be doing that for the Florence party actually. Sorry, the Florence get together. I cannot say party because people think of Corona, COVID party. Don't worry, we're all med students. We're all vaccinated. It's good.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but
I was thinking more about the city that you mentioned. I don't know if you're going to be vague about it or not.
It's fine. I've already mentioned it in the last episode.
I don't know how much we're.
Yeah, it's fine.
Cool. Yeah, I feel like everyone and their mom is going to try and get like a green jumpsuit and like put some numbers on there and be like, I'm player number blah 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 blah, like
that's fair,
anywhere from 1 to 456. So
that's true.
I think it'll be a popular take. I know my sister decided that she's going to try to be Squid Game, but like a literal, like find one of those like those like squid hat things that you can get like at carnivals. It's like literally like the head of a squid, but it's just like a hat. And then she's gonna like carry a board game around with her. So she's a Squid Game.
Oh, okay.
Which I was like,
very punny.
Yeah, very punny, like literal.
That's fair. And then what about you? What do you want to be?
I actually don't have any like Halloween plans. My family, for some reason, booked like a train ride going through like the Smoky Mountains for this weekend. But we're going with like a lot of family friends, so I think it'll be fun. It just won't be really like Halloween themed. But
is it a spooky train ride?
I don't know. Honestly, it might be very like themed. Ooh. And none of us planned on it, but it might. I don't know. I'm just gonna try to be cozy, I guess. That is my goal. I was gonna go to like our school's party, but it's exorbitantly priced for open bar. But
yeah, that's fair. But all right, sounds like a fun time for Halloween, I suppose. Yeah, I know I mentioned it on the last episode, but I'll be making a baked Alaska. I don't think you know. Yeah,
I do not know that.
So yeah, I'm making a baked Alaska. And,
fancy.
Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna bring.
Have you ever made that before?
No, I've never made it before. Ooh, so it's gonna be an exciting
new endeavor.
Yes, it is gonna be a new endeavor. I have a blowtorch, and that should be fun.
Ooh.
And if there's melted ice cream all over the floor, then I'm not cleaning it up because it's not my house.
Well, the people that you are serving this to probably have not had a baked Alaska, so I feel like they won't really know if it's supposed to be like running all over the floor or not. They're like, oh, this is what it does. This is the like part of the presentation, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
So I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, but really, aside from that, that's kind of all that's really going on. What is it? Originally, I was trying to think of a costume idea, and I would have asked you any ideas, but since Squid Game's all popular, maybe that's what I'll do. I thought about some lazier Halloween ideas, like, just wearing like a superhero t-shirt and be like, I'm that superhero.
I mean,
and
what are they gonna say, right? Like, I know one thing that I had seen somewhere was like people sometimes take their white coats and like take those like little pepper packets and like tape it all over their white coat and they're like, oh, I'm Dr. Pepper. That would be a fun one. You'd be student Dr. Pepper, but
I feel like that's a lot of effort though.
It is a lot of effort
because I don't know, I feel like for me I would just tape like one packet of pepper on it and that's it, just because easy cleanup.
Oh yeah.
And plus I don't want to be wearing my white coat the whole entire time.
That sounds miserable.
Yeah, it does. I don't know, it sounds glamorous for those of you who don't have one, but it's not glamorous.
It is, I feel like, a symbol of oppression more than anything.
Well, I could tell you that the symbol of oppression is that parking tag on students' cars, because they kind of
immediate red flag. It's like, why are you parked in a non-student spot? You think you should be close to the hospital and be able to walk in freely? and not be like a mile away. How dare you?
Yeah,
Who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a pre-med, turn around while you can.
I thought the goal of us actual med people is to encourage pre-med people to go.
If they're dead set and very passionate, like
Yeah,
I said
that's
I
true.
was, I will encourage you by all means. But if you're like, I'm in this for the prestige, for the money, listen. Value your life and your free time and your sanity and find something else.
That's fair, yeah. Well, I guess the sun is kind of setting now. It's
is.
about 7 o'clock. So I guess, yeah, you were right about how about 7-ish it usually gets pretty dark. But
Yeah.
But all right. Well, I guess Aalia, any last words of, wisdom or any nuggets of knowledge you want to bestow on the listeners out there?
I have a Halloween themed joke if anyone is interested. Anyone being Dave, I guess, because he's the one who'd be like, sure.
Yeah,
and if he's
'cause-
like, no, ew, then you're not gonna know this,
Yeah, I guess
this joke.
I guess theoretically I'm the audience voice at this moment.
You are my audience in this moment.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
But yeah, okay, sure. What's the Halloween joke?
What's a zombie's favorite type of weather?
Meh.
Meh?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of what those zombies say. There's like, I don't know. I'm imagining what a zombie would say.
Okay, fair enough.
Sure. Go ahead and tell me what the joke
It's
is.
brainstorms. Get it? Like,
Brainstorms.
because they like to eat brains.
Oh,
And brainstorms. Like rainstorms.
brainstorms.
Why are you making me dissect this? It's making it very
I guess-
painful.
I guess so. Yeah, sure. But all right, cool.
I'm
Well,
sure someone out there laughed. One of the two listeners from last time laughed.
Yeah, there you go. One of the two listeners. I actually was very genuinely surprised when I saw 2 listeners
Yeah.
out there because honestly,
He was raving about it earlier. He was
Yeah.
like, we are
popular
this
now.
is gonna take off.
This-
Dave is gonna
No.
just like go absolutely crazy.
Yeah. So I think overall, I think it's fine. Still keeping this at a hobby, very casual, nothing else scripted. We're just gonna keep it going right now, even though we have 2 listeners out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all right. Sounds good. Well, I guess thank you all for joining, and sorry if it's been a little bit noisy out here. Definitely we'll have to check the audio after this, but yes, anyways, thank you guys for just listening, and I guess thanks Aalia for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is fun. Maybe not in the park next time, but it's still fun.
Yeah, sorry, there was a guy walking by that was yelling out for some reason.
This clock is also like having a little moment.
That's true, probably because they want us to leave, plus it's getting darker.
Probably.
All right, well, see you guys later, all right?